Hello fellow stampers, this is Yana Smakula. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'll show you how to create a card to bring a smile to the recipient's face using several older stamp sets you probably already own. If you don't have these exact stamp sets from My Favorite Things in your stash, I encourage you to look through the other sets that you do have from My Favorite Things and possibly find something similar. I started to work on my card by stamping several animals from the Friends with Fins stamp set from My Favorite Things in Memento Tuxedo Black ink. This is alcohol marker friendly ink, and I did my stamping on white paper. This cardstock is Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock. I used my Mini Misty stamping tool and double stamped these images to have a nice black outline. I also stamped multiples of each image as I knew I would need more than one image for the card idea I had in mind. My plan was to stamp a large sentiment. I picked a sentiment that reads smile and surround that sentiment with several critters, placing one main critter, main shark, directly below the sentiment, looking as if that shark is sporting a big, bright smile. Having stamped the images, I used coordinating dies and cut all of them out in my deep sea die cutting machine. I did the die cutting off camera to save time on video. Next, I pulled out my Copic markers and did quick and simple coloring to color these darling critters. I used red markers to color the mouth of the main shark red. I went with R22, R05, R27, and R39 colors. The markers bled a little bit onto the teeth of the shark, and I used my white pen, Sakura white pen, to fix the bleeding and make the teeth sparkling white again. I don't show this on video, but I wanted to mention it nevertheless. To color the body of the shark, I used cool gray markers in C5. I used very little of this color just to apply shading to the darkest areas. Next, I used C3 marker to blend the C5 out a bit, and finally a C1 marker to blend all three colors together. I also used the same C1 marker on the belly of my shark to add some shading and blended that out using a colorless blender marker. And here is what this cute little shark looks like. Next, I used darker gray markers to color the whales and the dolphins, and also the mouth on the other two sharks. I went with C9. This is a very dark gray, almost black. I used that to apply shading to the darkest areas. Next, I came in with a slightly lighter C7 marker and blended it out, and finally came in with a C5 marker and blended all three colors together. I have shared another video using this stamp set several months ago. I used slightly different marker colors to color the animals dark blue. I encourage you to check that video out for more inspiration and additional ideas. A C1 marker was used on the belly of the critters to add some subtle shading. I also used a white pen to clean up any marker bleeding, and look how cute this whale turned out. Then here's a look at the dolphin, colored using the same marker colors. With all of the coloring done, I moved to create the background for my card. I knew I wanted to heat emboss the large smile in the center of my panel, and I also wanted to add some die cutting under the sentiment. I used a die from the Friends with Fin die set to die cut waves. There are two dies, and they come connected in that die set. You might want to separate them, but I kept mine as is and positioned them under the sentiment in the center of my panel to create waves. I ran the panel through my die cutting machine and die cut those adorable waves in my card. You can use those to insert your critter and make it look like the shark is swimming in the water. I love dies like this as they add wonderful little details to our handmade cards. Next, I white heat embossed that large smile sentiment. The sentiment comes from the Smile Maker stamp set, and it actually has many sub-sentiments to go with the word smile. I did not use any sub-sentiments, but you can easily add a skinny sub-sentiment to this card. Something like sending a smile your way, for example. I also white heat embossed images of fish swimming around the sentiment. I treated my panel with anti-static powder, stamped the images in clear embossing ink, added white embossing powder and heat set them using my heat tool to melt the powder in place. This added a nice little detail, or several little details, to the background. With the background panel created, I started adding my critters to set the scene. First, I inserted that main shark with a red mouth into the die cut opening. Looks so cute and really looks like the shark is smiling. Next, I used foam adhesive squares and started adding the rest of the images, the whales, the dolphins, and additional sharks onto the card one by one to build my scene. I trimmed any excess pieces and also used them to fill in any gaps I had on my background. With that done, I adhered the panel onto an A2 white top-holding card base. To dress this card up, I used a white pen, the same pen I've been using to clean up any marker bleeding, and added white dots that look like air bubbles onto the background. I also used Nuvo drops in Morning Dew and added several dimensional clear dots onto the card, again to mimic air bubbles in the water. I had such a fun time stamping this smile card with a My Favorite Things Friends with Fins stamp set. Here's a look at the finished project. I hope you enjoyed this video and you will give this idea a try. If you do, please share online and tag us on social media. We always love seeing what you guys are making. Subscribe now and hit that bell icon not to miss any new card making tutorials. Thanks for watching, love you guys, and I'll see you next time.